What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video, man. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys all of the jump shots that I use on my guard build, center build, and everything in between. And not only that, I'm also going to be showing you guys how to rhythm shoot, because a lot of you guys have been asking me how to do that. Because if you don't know, it is easily the best way to shoot consistently and lights out on 2K25. And of course, I'm also going to be showing you guys all of the best settings, controller settings, and all of that you guys are going to need to be able to shoot the best that you can on this game. But real quick, man, before we hop into this video, make sure to like, subscribe, turn the post notifications on. I set a goal for myself to hit 80K before 2025, and if we reach that mark, I'll be giving away a copy of 2K25 to one of you guys for Christmas. But all right, man, without any further ado, let's get right into this. All right, but now real quick, before we jump into the jump shots, I just wanted to show you guys some of these settings that you're definitely going to want to use. So go to controller settings, and the first thing is the shot timing profile. I 100% recommend high risk, high reward. It is the absolute best. Basically, it means that a lot less of your whites are going to go in. So if you don't time your shot right, it's probably not going to go in. I have made a couple whites on high risk, high reward, but it is very rare. But the thing that it actually does is because a lot less of your whites go in, the green window is actually larger. So it makes it a lot easier to perfectly time your shot. So if you get consistent, you'll basically be able to make every single shot. So I would definitely go with high risk reward for shot timing profile. And then for your shot timing visual cue, this is very important because later in the video, I am going to show you guys how to use rhythm shooting and basically just time all of these jump shots. And you're going to want to have push shot timing visual cue on your build. That way it actually matches up with what I'm showing you later in the video. In my opinion, push is absolutely the best one because basically you release the ball right when the ball gets on top of your head. And now one more thing, because a lot of you guys have been asking me, go into animations and go over to customize HUD. You could also do this like in mycareer games and stuff like that. But here you're actually able to change your shot meters and when they actually come up. So if you want to turn your shot meter off for jump shots, which I recommend you doing, you could change all that there. And a lot of you guys have been asking me how to get the shot feedback. You just want to go down here to shot feedback. You could change it to all shots. I keep the distance on. You don't really need that though. And then the timing and coverage I like to have on as well. But now without any further ado, let's get into the jump shots. We're going to start with smaller guards and then we're going to move our way up all the way to the centers and bigs. Now to start it off, we're going to start with the guard jump shots. This one specifically is for guards that are under 6'5". And for the base, you want to go with Cameron Thomas. Just looking at the attributes that this base gets, you get A+ release height, a B+ defensive immunity, A+ release speed, which as a guard, you are obviously going to want to have as high as possible. And then your timing stability is a B-. But like I said, the main thing you want, especially as a guard, is your release speed and then as well, your release height. Now for the upper release one, you want to go with Sam Merrill. Once again, the main thing we are looking at is our release speed because we want to be able to get the shots off as quickly as possible. And so Sam Merrill fits that description perfectly with that A+ release speed. Also, his release is just very easy to look at and very easy to know when to release. And now finally, our upper release 2 for this jump shot for 6'5" and under guards, you're going to want to go with a classic Oscar Robertson. And the reason for this is obviously we've used him for many years and it's just been a very good jump shot release, very consistent and all of that. And it also fills out the rest of these jump shot attributes that the other stuff didn't fill out quite as much. But now moving on to the blending, release timing, release speed, animation, all of that. As a guard, you're obviously going to want to max out the release speed. That way it's as quick as possible. And now your animation blending is going to be 30-70, 70% Oscar Robertson and 30% Sam Merrill. And now for the visual cue, this is kind of up to you, but like I said earlier, push in my opinion is the absolute best, and that is what I'm going to be showing you guys later how to use with the rhythm shooting and all of that and when to release these jump shots. So I like to do it just above push or right on the mark right there, just like that. And honestly, this jump shot for 6'5" guards and under shoots absolutely lights out. Now moving on to the taller builds ranging from 6'5" to 6'10", this is the jump shot that you guys are going to want to use. Now right now I'm on my 6'6" ISO guard build, so this jump shot can be used on ISO builds, spot up builds, and really anything in between. So starting out with the base, you're going to want to use Terrion Prince. His release speed is a B+, which in my opinion is actually kind of perfect for this height range, because if you are a spot up shooter, you might not want something super quick That way you're able to set your feet and all of that. But if you are more of an ISO type player, you're also going to want to have that speed to be able to shoot right off the dribble and all of that. So this jump shot, I feel like, is the perfect middle ground. That way it's not too quick, but also not too slow. And alongside that, you also get good timing stability, defensive immunity, and release height is pretty good as well. But for that release height, you're obviously not going to need it like an A- or A+ like you do on the smaller guard jump shot, just because you are a taller build and you're just not going to need it as much. And the final thing about this base is I think it just looks clean, and you're definitely going to want that for a jump shot that you're going to be using. Now, moving on to the release 1 of this jump shot for builds that are 6'5" to 6'10", you're going to want to use Oscar Robertson. This is a classic. People have used it for years, and it basically just shows you why we're using it on this jump shot. It's been used for years by so many people, and it stands even in 2K25. It is very consistent. It looks good, so you know when to release it, and it even has amazing stats: A+ timing stability, B release speed, A- defense immunity, and B release height. So for release 1 on this jump shot, you're definitely going to want to use Oscar Robertson. And now for release 2, I like to use Saddiq Bey. This combined with Oscar Robertson, in my opinion, makes the perfect release to be able to know exactly when to release your jump shot and basically make it a lot easier to green every single time. Once again, you got good time and stability. The release speed on this one is actually a little bit lower, but trust me, once you're in game, it is more than enough. You're going to be able to get the jump shot off quick enough, especially if you're an ISO guard shooting off the dribble or even a spot up shooter. This jump shot and release is absolutely perfect. So for the release 2, you're going to want to use Saddiq Bey. Now moving on to the blending, release speed, visual cue. We're starting out with the release speed. We're just going to max that out. You want it to be as fast as possible, especially if you are an ISO guard. But if you're someone that thinks this might be a little bit too fast, obviously this is all your personal preference. You can bring this down to the third one or anything like that. But in my opinion, the best way to go is maxing out the release speed. That way it is as fast as possible. And moving on to the animation blending, you're going to want to go 60% Oscar Robertson and 40% Saddiq Bey. And one of the main reasons for this, like I just showed you, Saddiq Bey is a little bit on the slower side compared to Oscar Robertson. So this will just make sure you maintain all that speed for this jump shot. You can see in the bottom right, the release speed is an A+, so it's going to be as fast as you need. And then for the visual cue, to match what we were using in the settings earlier, you're going to want to put it on push. I like to go either right on the line or just a little above it. But now that we got this jump shot down, let's move on to the centers and builds that are over 6'10". And now here we are for the jump shots for the builds that are over 6'10". Right now I'm on my 7-foot ISO center build. I just dropped this recently, so if you guys want this build, definitely go check out my last video. But to start out this jump shot, the base you want to go with is going to be O'Shea Brissett. Now I have used this base in probably, I think, the last like 3 2Ks. It's been one of my favorite bases to use on pretty much any tall build that I ever make. And for this base, you actually only need to be 6'5" and up, so it's honestly perfect. And so you get a release speed of C-, defensive immunity C, release height C-, and timing stability is a B-. So while they don't look too crazy, trust me, this jump shot and all the releases and everything later is going to make up for it. It's not actually going to be that low, because after using this jump shot since the release of the game, I have been shooting lights out with it, and it has been one of the easiest jump shots for me to use. But moving on to the release 1 of this jump shot, you're going to want to use Larry Bird. This will give you A+ defensive immunity, A+ timing stability, B- release height, and a D release speed. But the next release is going to make up for that speed. And yeah, man, this release actually makes up a smaller portion of this jump shot, because I think we did majority release 2. However, the reason I went with Larry Bird for this release 1 is because it makes the cue a lot easier to see when you're shooting. And here we go with upper release 2. We're gonna go with LaMarcus Aldridge. Like I said, this release is gonna make up for those lower release speeds that we had on the base and release 1, because with this release, we're actually gonna get an A- release speed, A timing stability, B+ defensive immunity, and a C release height. This is definitely one of my favorite releases to use in the game. People have been using it for years, and this one just makes the jump shot look super clean, makes it very easy to time, and like you see, it also makes the jump shot a lot faster and have some really good attributes along with it. But now moving on to the visual cue, release speed, animation blending, we're gonna start out with the release speed once again. We're just gonna max that out. You want this jump shot to be as fast as possible, so we're just gonna max that out right off the rip. And now moving on to the animation blending, we're actually gonna go 20% Larry Bird and 80% LaMarcus Aldridge. Like I said, LaMarcus Aldridge was going to end up being the majority of this jump shot. That way you get all the speed and all the attributes that you need from that. But Larry Bird, in my opinion, is pretty important to this jump shot just because it makes the jump shot visual cue a lot easier to see. But now moving on to the visual cue, matching up with the settings we were using earlier, you're going to want to set it on push. Like I said earlier, I like to put it around the line or just past it. I'm going to put it right here. That way it ends up matching up with your timing and all of that for when you release your jumper. But now without any further ado, a lot of you guys have been asking me how to do the rhythm shooting. And also I'm just going to show you guys how to just time these shots in general. All of them are going to end up being the same. You're going to release your button or the rhythm shooting right when the ball gets on top of your head. That is the perfect spot to release it when you have the push timing on. But just real quick, I'll show you guys where to release it. Right there is when it gets on top of your head. That is when you release either the button or the right stick, depending on how you're shooting. But now in order to rhythm shoot, this is actually very easy. I couldn't find any tutorials when the game dropped, so I was very confused, and I was over there shooting with button, and I was missing a whole lot of shots because I was getting full bars or anything like that. But rhythm shooting has made it so much easier, even for me to shoot like post fade, standstill jump shots off the dribble or anything like that. I use rhythm shooting for basically everything. But without any further ado, let me just show you guys how to do it. It is very simple. I'm gonna get over to the side here so you guys can actually see when I'm releasing it. But basically where I just showed you guys to release these jump shots right when the ball gets above your head, that is how long you're going to be holding down on the right stick for. And real quick, before we get into this, do not hold right trigger when you're shooting these rhythm shots, because that'll make you just do like a step back or something like that, and that's obviously not what you want. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to hold down on the right stick until the ball gets on top of our head. Then we're going to flick up. So what we're going to do is hold it down and then flick up right when it gets on top of our head. And this stays the same no matter where you are on the court. I was just doing it in the corner, that way you could see it easier. But basically once it gets to the top of your head, that's when you want to start the flick up motion. And for flicking up on the right stick, for me, it's mainly muscle memory. I just have gotten used to the timing and basically how quick you want to be able to do that flick up. But if you want more of a visual cue, I think you want to release the flick up right when you're releasing the ball out of your hands. So you hold it down and then flick up right when it leaves your hands. But yeah, man, that's basically how you rhythm shoot. It's really simple. It took me about like 2-3 minutes to get used to it when I first tried it out. And I've literally never gone back. It makes it so much easier for me to be able to shoot in this game. And honestly, it just made it a lot more fun when I was struggling to shoot when the game first came out. But yeah, man, that is pretty much it. I appreciate you guys if you guys made it to this point. If you guys want me to drop any other videos like animations, dribbling sigs, or anything like that, let me know what you want to see in the comments, any other builds or anything like that. And of course, make sure to like, subscribe, turn the post notifications on. That way you're ready for all the videos that I post. And if you guys made it to this point, comment Spida Squad. That way I know you watched the entire video. And of course, if you guys enjoyed this video, click the video on the screen. I guarantee you're gonna love it.